Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be digging into our 2012 frame-up rebuild of our club car Precedent. I'm Jeff, welcome to Car Crazy. Alright, well before we dive into today's video, I just want to take a second and thank 10 LOL Golf Cart Parts for sponsoring today's video. And in fact, you can jump on their website at 10lol.com, use my promo code Jeff100 and save yourself 5% on your entire purchase. And that goes for Club Car, E-Z-GO, Yamaha. They've got you covered. So thanks to them once again. Let's get started on today's video. All right, well here we go. Not much has changed. Just kind of piled everything in the corner from the last video. And really on today's video, we're going to focus just primarily, depending on how much time we have, probably on the rear axle. I want to dig into these brakes and see what kind of condition they're in. Our friends at 10LOL sent over some new drums and shoes if we need them, so we'll check that out. But I want to, probably first thing I want to do is remove this motor and remove the wheels and tires off of here and get it up on the table where it's a little more easy to work on. This motor is obviously most of the weight. It's pretty heavy. I want to get in here and clean this up and do some painting. So let's get it up on the table and see if we can get a better look at it. All right, so I just popped the tires and wheels off, and the motor actually came off really easy. A lot of times they get stuck and they fight and fight. This one literally slid right off, so I'm thankful for that. So we'll pop the leaf springs off with the shocks and probably these brake cables. To get the brake cables off, you literally just have to pull that pin out right there, and it's like a safety pin, and then the main pin will come out. And then, kind of like what we did on the last episode, you've got to get in here and release those tabs so that the cable will pull through. I'll try to get you a better view of that. All right, so here's a better view of those spring tabs. And like I said, you've got to push all of these in at once. It looks like this one might only have two holding us up right now. So it just makes it a little bit challenging to try to push those through. But first of all, we got to take the clip out of here and push that pin up for our cable. So you see how that works? When you push this through the bracket, then those fingers expand and hold it in. Now this one I cheated a little bit and actually broke one of the tabs off because it was kind of bound up. And the reason being, I'm actually replacing these with new cables from 10LOL. So, all right, pretty close to getting it tore down to where we want to be. Let's get these brake drums off and see what our shoes look like. Well, pulled everything apart. Certainly not bad as some of them that I've seen. We've got a little bit of wear kind of on one edge, but they're really pretty decent. Just trying to decide if I scuff these up and reuse them. I do have new shoes here we could throw on. This side I think was a little thin right down in here. Again, not terrible, but we'll think about that. But what I'd like to do is get this housing cleaned up. See where this glue is sticking out here, or it's actually RTV from when they press the two halves together. What I might do is come through here with a razor blade, clean some of that up. I'd like to get the housing painted. I picked up some paint and I'll show you what we're going to use for that. And then we'll mask everything off. I'll do the black separate, kind of rejuvenate it a little bit. How's that, for lack of a better term? I'm not digging into the bearings or anything on this. We could pull these axles out and take a look at these bearings. And the reason being, when I got this cart running and driving and drove it, everything sounded really good. There's no sense in tearing into it. In fact, I feel a little bit guilty about even doing these shoes because they're actually not too bad. So I'm still kind of undecided on that. But we'll take a look. Now these brake drums could easily be reused. Cleaning those up. They don't have a real big ridge on them. You could go around there with sandpaper and some brake cleaning, clean those up. But like I said, our friends from 10LOL sent some awesome parts over that I'd really like to use on this build. So I think we're going to go ahead and for surely do the drums and possibly the shoes. We'll think about that a little more. But mainly just clean up this grease a little bit with a wire brush, get all this RTV off of here, and then we can kind of hit this with some paint and see how that turns out. Well, just a couple minutes with the wire brush and the razor blade. You can see all the excess gunk we took off of here. Just trying to scuff it up a little bit. This doesn't get seen a whole lot. This part mainly does from the back of the cart, especially with the lift kit. So I just kind of want to get that cleaned up. Your breather vent, you definitely want to either remove or tape that off if you're going to do painting. You don't want to get that all plugged full of paint and then it won't work right. I'm trying to decide if I want to paint over my drain plugs or tape those off. Probably end up taking them out maybe, actually. I don't know, we'll think about that. And then where the motor goes, of course, probably won't get any paint on the surface here. I'll clean that up a little more and we'll tape that off so we can hit that with probably our MRO. I did get a couple different kinds of paint, but you know how I love that MRO paint. It sticks to everything, even if there's a little bit of grease left on here. It's not going to bubble up, it'll actually stick right to it. So, all right, well, knowing me, I probably forgot to hit record again. So anyway, we got the MRO on there. Hit it with a couple different applications, letting that set up a little bit. Probably do one more, and then while that's kind of curing and doing its thing, we'll tear into these brakes a little bit. So I think I will go ahead and change these shoes out. That'll give me a good chance to show you all how to do this also. A couple things you might want to do if you've never done this before. Just take pictures, maybe with your smartphone or whatever, which way the springs go. And I'm going to go ahead and hit this with some brake clean and air, kind of clean it up. That'll make it a little nicer for tearing it apart. And then we'll reverse the process. I don't have any grease for behind these shoes, the traditional brake grease. I have regular grease, so I might just have to use that. But there's a real tacky, like basically for this, brake shoe grease. I don't even know what they call it, but it works real good behind there. That way when you apply the brakes, you don't get that squeak, squeak when you step on the pedal. So I might have to just improvise and use what I have. You think I'd pick some up. I had the same problem last time too, but I'll learn one of these days. Another way you can tell on these shoes is they're very specific in the way they look. Going back on, you're going to have that kind of a long end and a short end, and then a front side and a back side. But you'll be able to tell that there's some pretty unique characteristics that kind of give it away. So just be mindful of that. And then here's these spots where I was saying we need to put a little grease on each one just to keep the squeaks down. The other suggestion I forgot to do or tell you about is just leave the other side together for reference. That way, even if you forget or you didn't get a good picture of it, you can jump over to the other side and be like, oh yeah, that's how it goes. But getting these springs in here, you know, can be challenging. I recommend a really, really good pair of needle nose. It just helps because otherwise they're slipping off and you're getting frustrated. And then your adjuster, I brought that in a little bit so that way when we put our new drum on, it'll slide right on. But once you get everything together, you're going to want to twist that out and just make contact. You don't really want them dragging on there. You just want it to where it's just, well, here, I'll show you. When you put your drum on, can you hear that? It's just kind of touching on there a little bit, and that one could probably even go up a little bit more because this is sliding on and off really easy. And you want it to, like I said, you want it to have a little bit of contact, but you don't really want basically your brakes applied when you're not applying the brakes. So you'll just have to play around with that a little bit. And then probably what I'll do is just repeat the process on this side. We'll throw our new shoes in there, and then see how set up this paint is. I don't know that I'm going to get the black done on this yet right away. I might have to leave that set up a little more and come back and do the black later. But that's basically what I want to get done is get everything painted and prepped and ready to go. So let's see if we can get this other side done. All right, I got the brake shoes on. I threw the old drums on so that I can paint this and not have to worry about getting paint on the new shoes. And then what I'll do is I'll slide those off and put the new shoes on. But this is still kind of tacky, so I can't tape that off. Take some advice and do the black first, and then you can tape off a lot easier and do your chrome or gray or aluminum or whatever you're going to do, because now I've got to try to figure out how to tape all that off, which will be interesting. But that's what I get for not paying attention, I guess. So I'll hit this with a little bit of black, get close to that, obviously, and then we'll wait for that to dry before we tape that off and finish it. But we'll get done what we can here. All right, while we're waiting for that to dry a little more, I wanted to show you, I picked up this, of course, you know I love the MRO. I also picked up this VHT wheel paint, and I tried that a little bit on the frame without any prep work or anything, and that's probably more, excuse me, of what I'm going for. It's still wet, obviously, but I don't know that I like that kind of fake, you know, aluminum look. It'll be fine for underneath the cart, but I think for the frame, you know, some of you mentioned powder coating the frame, which is a great idea, but unfortunately it's ridiculously expensive. So what I might do is just do some scuffing, you know, with like a Scotch-Brite pad or something, and probably clean this with some aluminum cleaner, and then try to experiment with some different paints, whether it be, you know, this, as much as I love the MRO. Now you can see just how quickly that dried and how, you know, I don't want to say it's impossible to get a run with it, but it's a lot harder to get a run with that flat black. You know, this stuff is more watery. Obviously, it's a different, you know, paint, but definitely had to be more careful. I did get a couple runs in it, which isn't the end of the world because, after all, it is just the axle, and I'm getting way too carried away here. But what I'm trying to say is, if I could find something like the MRO that goes on really good on the aluminum, I might look for some. What I was looking for was like some engine paint, like an aluminum block engine paint, and that's kind of what I was going for on that axle. Like I said, I just kind of missed the mark on it, but I'm going to experiment with a couple different things, I think, and see if we can make something work for this frame. All right, gave that enough time to dry, and I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, you know, it's a lot easier. It'd been a lot easier to do the black first, just because of masking that off is really difficult versus just wrapping a piece of tape around that one like I did before. So go ahead and finish this up and throw the new drums on, and I think we're about done with this part. All right, here we go. Here's the somewhat finished product. I thought this paint was cured enough that I could put tape on it, but you can see it left marks on there, so I'll have to go and touch that up. But otherwise, pretty happy with it. I got the new shoes in there, got the new drums on. Thanks to our friends at 10LOL for sending that over. And make sure you jump on there and check their website out. So I think that's probably as far as I'm going to go on the axle today. I did take that VHT or whatever paint. I wanted to try that. I don't know how well that's showing up on camera, but it was really easy to, you know, run. It was kind of real runny, so if I'm going to use that, I definitely have to go lighter applications. Of course, this was just untreated. I didn't scuff it up with like a Scotch-Brite or anything like that, which I would before I paint. I just wanted to do a little sample and see what it turned out like. But it's more of that color I'm looking for. It doesn't have that shiny chrome look to it. It's more of, I don't know what you'd call it, like a dull, or it's not really a matte finish, but it's just, I don't know, I like it better. That's what I'm saying, okay? Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Just wanted to apologize. The audio might be a little messed up on the end here. Actually, battery died on my wireless mic, and you know, I got to do a better job at keeping up with all this stuff. But if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. Consider hitting the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you like what you see, like I say, if you don't like what you see, maybe subscribe anyway, because there's a small chance things could get better. So appreciate that. Again, I got to thank 10LOL for jumping on board with this video. The links to the product I use is going to be in the comments section below. So check that out. And also jump on over to their website, 10lol.com. Use my promo code STEGGY100. Save yourself 5% off your purchase. Not just Club Car Parts, EasyGo, Yamaha. They got you covered. So go over and check that out. On the next video, hopefully we're going to do some frame painting and reassembly. So stick around for that. Appreciate it very much. We'll see you next time.